Choosing a good weather window for a passage from New Zealand to Fiji requires a bit of patience and quite a bit of luck, because 7 to 10 day weather forecasting just isn't that reliable down under. For us, Friday the 13th looked perfect, although we did have to stretch it out a day at the last minute.
We're just going to sit that down low.
Rach cooking our first meal under the passage.
Hi.
What do we got for dinner tonight, Rach?
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Woo! A frozen takeaway dinner from Gnomes that you've cooked.
Super good. Who needs to cook when you can just reheat?
Look at this gimbling oven. The first 2 days we had 20 gusting to 27 knots, and it was a bit roly-poly. Our first full 24-hour day we'd cracked out 170 nautical miles. We really weren't expecting those kind of numbers straight off the bat. We have named our autopilot Patsy, and she worked her butt off in steering us in the right direction. We also had the Iridium Go up and running for satellite communications and weather forecasting. Great, sending off messages on the Iridium Go to everyone replying to messages from back home.
And steering to Fiji by choice. Dear Lord, don't let it be by necessity.
Nope, I'm just trying to save a little bit of power.
And have some fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you are here to sail.
That's right. Patsy does a good job.
Patsy's amazing!
By chance, we sail with a rare occurrence of the planets aligning. Less by chance, we sail with a full moon. So mostly we had nights so bright you couldn't see most of the stars. Just Saturn, Mars, Venus and Jupiter. And to top it off, a full moon.
Full moon out tonight. How good.
And to those who asked us, no, we do not anchor overnight.
I don't understand how we're doing these numbers. There's 6-7 knots of breeze, average wind speed there. And we're doing around 5 knots speed over ground with the boat.
By day 3, the sea state settled, we had epic sailing conditions, and Rach could cook without throwing food on the floor. Day 4, we turned on the forest ink box and motored through the centre of the high in these conditions.
The sea is breathing.
Wow, it's a pretty cool sunset. Our passage was a contrast to our one and only previous experience as crew to Fiji. It went like this.
Got your weather forecast there,
Oh,
Lewis?
here you go. Let's just look at our weather so we can look. We're heading for there. We're here now. As you move along, you'll see how the red gets over. And here you have north winds. Here you have south winds. Here you have southwest. So the low is turning around. And as we go further, you'll see it's much darker here, which is about 35 to 40 knots.
Which means what in real world?
Real windy.
Yeah. More than 35 to 40 knots though, eh?
Yeah, more than 35 to 40 knots. Yeah, brown undies.
His bed's saturated, my bed's saturated.
Our bed's a little bit wet, but it's nothing to worry about.
Nah, I think we got it sweet.
It'll actually dry your bedroom
Yeah. 5 times.
Isn't it amazing that we look at 32 knots on the wind indicator and we think that's quite mild compared to the 56 knots that you saw earlier on?
Yep.
Everything in perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What have we encountered?
everything that could be thrown at us. But look at us, we're just smiling, happy people about to have a cup of tea or coffee.
Good thing we fixed the backstay
Yeah.
on the main. That was rather important for 56
that would have
knots.
been flogging around.
Along
that would
with
have
the-
been much fun.
Along with the furling line, but we've had a electrical loss, and we didn't have the autopilot for a little while as well. Hey, gave up on overload. How you doing, Jules?
Very wet downstairs.
Very wet.
It'll dry out.
It will, I know. It's only fresh water.
I reckon Dion and I got the best deal because I think we've got the driest bed out of everyone.
Oh, well. Hope you got plenty of room there.
Do you want to see a booby? That is a booby.
You're on camera, Mr. Bird. Top through my lifelines.
For the first few days, we'd headed east to get better conditions as we approached Fiji. In theory, this would have allowed us to run downwind with the southeast trade winds. What we'd actually got was northeast winds as a cyclone further west of us affected the weather pattern. So we had wind on the nose, a nosily. Also on the nose was a toilet, which had stopped pumping water in. What are you trying to do, Rach?
Oh, just getting brush ready.
Just rice. Hey, you're making it look hard.
We are going into Fiji, baby! Look at the conditions!
How's that for motor sailing? And there's land ho! I don't know if you can see that, or Lisa and Andy! Oh my god! Our friends that we wanted to come here with are like right there. And we left on the same day from different ports in New Zealand, and we're going to pull in together, having travelled completely different tracks with no communication to get here. That is so epically awesome. Woohoo! And Carla sailing into Fiji. Land ho! Woohoo! Yeah, baby! Welcome to Fiji! Bula bula! At this point, I sound pretty amped, and I am probably because I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before. So usually at night time we reduce the sail. We reef the sail down just to make sure that we don't have too much sail up overnight on the main. But on our last night of passage, the autopilot was getting a little bit hot. It had been working its butt off for the last 7.5 days. So Dion decided to hand steer for a little bit, which was fine until sort of several hours later it wouldn't go back on again. Usually when we reef, we do that at dusk, and we couldn't get the autopilot going, so we really didn't have a third set of hands. Like Patsy wasn't working.
So I couldn't reef.
No, and we hadn't practiced reefing single-handed before, so we thought, oh well, the forecast is light, we'll just leave the whole sail up. And so that's what we did. Very shortly after, the autopilot did start working again, and then later when we arrived in Fiji, we worked out what the problem was. That's another story. So it's all perfectly good now. At about 9 o'clock, my watch started, and the wind dropped down to about 8 or 9 knots, so it was very, very light wind. And I let out the full head sail. So we've got a 110% genoa on at this point, and I let the whole genoa out and the full main up, which was fine for 8 or 9 knots, except of course it picked up and 20 knots came in quite quickly around 11 o'clock at night, and that was too much sail up for that kind of wind, eh?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So you felt that downstairs?
Yeah, I was asleep in bed and just got thrown across the bed to start off with. I went, well, what's going on upstairs? And this boat's flying. So I tried to get out of bed and got one foot on the ground and got thrown across the room. So I landed against a cupboard and with my elbow and looked at it and thought it was broken. Went, oh no. Staggered upstairs, tried to look at what's going on, realised Rach had let all the sail out and we had to action it very quickly. So I'm up there trying to winch sails back in and get the boat back under control, and then what we do, went back downstairs to try and sort my arm out.
You were in absolute agony at that point, eh?
Yeah, my whole arm was going numb and tingling in my fingers, and so I had to go down and sort that out. Get some ice packs. And
we don't have a freezer, by the way, so
No.
ice packs is like first aid kit, shake and bake ice pack, eh?
Yeah.
And a bit of cold ice spray.
Yeah, and then some good drugs. So, and then I put myself back to bed with my arm stretched out, like trying to support it as much as I could, and went back to sleep. While Rach then had to continue on through the rest of the night, single-handed.
Yeah, I continued on from 9 o'clock at night and did the shift the whole way through the night, and probably right through to the next lunchtime. We had done 8.5 days, 3 hours on, 3 hours off with our watches, plus we were arriving into Fiji, so it's pretty exciting getting in there. Yeah.
Woo! Coming in, Fiji! Coming in hot! Woo! And my captain's off. Yeah, boy, got that Kiwi flag in the background there. How do you feel about that, you bloody Aussie?
It sucks.
So where we actually went, there's the top of New Zealand. We started here in Tauranga. Most people start up here in Opua, including our friends Lizo and Andy. And so we marked where we went each day on the chart. So we went further out east to try and catch the trade winds later on, roughly near the Kermadec Trench, which is a bit further east. You don't want to go over that. And then as the wind came round, we were able to make more west moves and end up here.
Look, that's our first Q flag going up ever.
Here we go.
Thank you, Mark and Christine Sellers.
Flag going up.
Do 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 do. I love that there's a little bit of wind and it's actually flapping. We have arrived to Fiji. Come clear us in, customs.
Yep, we're moving into Wunda Marina this morning to clear customs. Got Ankala out to our port side here, and we're going through that little entrance over there. You made it, Race. Wunda Marina was amazing to clear in it. Efficient, friendly people and a great customs experience. What's happening here, Rach?
We just docked and Lizo and Andy are going to be docked with us. And there's a real narrow gap there for 2 boats to fit in where that guy is in the tender. There's a rope there. Come around, man. Yeah. You can do this. Yeah, we're in neutral now.
We spent 3 nights at Wunda, provisioning with gas, water, fuel and going to the Lautoka markets for food. And of course, found our land legs and celebrated with a couple of cocktails before we head out cruising Fiji.